Nagpapatuloy po ang special coverage sa pagbubukas ng sesyon ng Kongreso at ng Senado. At sa punto pong ito, balikan po natin ang mga naging kaganapan sa opening session ng Senado. Panoorin po natin ito.
Ito'y buhay, lupang hinirang, tulad ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisihil, sa dagat at bundok, sa simula, sa langit mo bagaw, may dilag ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal, ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na naglilingin, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may magdidilim, lupa ng araw ng wala din pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo, aming ligaya na may mga api ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo. Puso at diwa ng Senado ang katwiran, isa batas ang mithiing makabayan.
Filipino'y maligayang nabubuhay sa kalinga ng paglaya't katarungan.
O Senado ng marangal at matatag, malakas at di umukot sa layuhan, pag ang bigkis nitong bansa'y nasa batas, tuloy-tuloy at matuwid ang pag-unlad. O Senado ng marangal at matatag, malakas at di umukot sa dayuhan, pag ang bigkis nitong bansa'y nasa batas, tuloy-tuloy at matuwid ang pag-unlad.
Please be seated. The Secretary will call the roll of members.
Roll call of members. The Honorable Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, Senator Zubiri, Senate President.
With 23 senators present, the Chair declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution number 1061.
Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The motion is hereby approved. Consideration of proposed Senate Resolution number 1061 is now in order, and the Secretary will please read the title and text of the resolution.
Resolution informing the House of Representatives that the quorum is present in the Senate and that this body has entered upon the exercise of its functions for the third regular session of the 19th Congress of the Philippines. Resolved by the Senate that the House of Representatives be informed that the quorum is present in the Senate and that this body has entered upon the exercise of its functions for the third regular session of the 19th Congress of the Philippines.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution number 1061.
Is there any objection? Chair hears none. Motion is hereby approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution 1062.
Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The motion is approved. Consideration of proposed Senate Resolution number 1062 is now in order, and the Secretary will please read the title and text of the resolution.
Resolution informing President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. that the quorum is present in the Senate and that this body has entered upon the exercise of its functions for the third regular session of the 19th Congress of the Philippines. Resolved by the Senate that President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. be informed that the quorum is present in the Senate and that this body has entered upon the exercise of its functions for the third regular session of the 19th Congress of the Philippines.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution 1062.
Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The same is hereby approved.
Mr. President, we are in receipt of a message from the House of Representatives. I move that we consider House Concurrent Resolution number 27.
Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The motion is approved. Consideration of House Concurrent Resolution number 27 is now in order, and the Secretary will please read the title and text of the resolution.
Concurrent resolution providing for the Senate and the House of Representatives to hold a joint session to hear the message of the President of the Republic of the Philippines. Resolved by the House, the Senate concurring that both Houses of Congress of the Republic of the Philippines hold a joint session on Monday, July 22, year 2024 at 4 o'clock in the afternoon at the session hall of the House to hear the message of the President of the Republic of the Philippines.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt House Concurrent Resolution number 27.
Is there any objection? There being none, House Concurrent Resolution number 27 is hereby adopted.
Mr. President, I move that we consider Senate Concurrent Resolution number 19.
Is there any objection? There being none, motion is hereby approved. Consideration of proposed Senate Concurrent Resolution number 19 is now in order, and the Secretary will please read the title and text of the resolution.
Concurrent resolution creating a joint committee of the Senate and the House of Representatives to notify the President of the Philippines that Congress, now convened for its third regular session of the 19th Congress of the Philippines, is ready to hear State of the Nation address in a joint session of both houses. Resolved by the Senate, the House concurring that a committee of 5 members led by the Senate President join a committee of the House of Representatives to notify the President of the Philippines that Congress, now convened for its third regular session of the 19th Congress of the Philippines, is ready to hear State of the Nation address in a joint session of both houses.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt Senate Concurrent Resolution number 19.
Is there any objection? There being none, Senate Concurrent Resolution number 19 is hereby adopted. Pursuant thereto, and to join this representation, I hereby appoint to the Joint Notification Committee on the part of the Senate, Senate President Pro Tem Jinggoy Estrada, Majority Leader Francis Tol Tolentino, Minority Leader Aquilino Pimentel, and Senator Amy R. Marcos.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, we are now ready to listen to the address of the Senate President.
Allow me to begin my remarks by sharing with you the acceptance speech of then Senate President Manuel L. Quezon, delivered nearly 108 years ago on October 16, 1916. Quezon's words spoke through the ages to future senators and serves as an immortal advice on how to carry out the burden of leadership and to honor the gift of the mandate of the people. In his words, he said, "We are here today to serve the people the way the people themselves want to be served. But it is necessary, however, to keep in mind that a different procedure is expected from the Senate than from a popular chamber. Wherever the bicameral legislature exists, it is assumed that the lower house will be like a very sensitive thermometer that will register in its action even the slightest and most momentary changes in popular sentiment. On the other hand, the Senate must represent the serene, mature, and prudent judgment of public opinion. In other words, the Senate must be a sure, unshakable dam destined to contain the exaltations and overflow of popular passion. If the voice of the people is the voice of God, it must be enclosed in the safe channel of serene reflection. Indeed, the most horrendous crime recorded in history, a crime that made the sky cry and the earth tremble, was a crime committed at the behest of an obstinate people at a time when fanaticism had blinded reason and abolished all human feeling. I am referring to the crucifixion at Golgotha. Our steps must be safe and numbered. We must act when we are certain that that opinion is consensuously formed. In case of conflict between private interests, we must harmonize the demands of the heterogeneous elements that make up our society so that the general interest always prevails. We must maintain the stability of our institutions and be the safeguard of public and private rights. The merit of our work must not be judged by the number of laws we dictate, but by their quality. It is even preferable to suffer the evils of a current law than to try to remedy them with a law made hastily, without the due and careful study that the function of legislating entails, since with laws of this kind, we will cause greater harm and perhaps even irreparable injury. Our work will be constructive, not destructive, and we will not destroy the old until we are sure that the new is better. In any case, we should never put the interest of the party before the interests of the community. We must aspire to be the guardians of the good faith of the Filipino people towards other peoples, for which we are obliged to preserve it intact. Our conduct must be one of justice, consideration, brotherly affection, not only for our own, but also for strangers. Esteemed members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the Cabinet here present, my dear colleagues in the Senate, both present and past, my fellow workers in government, ladies and gentlemen, mga minamahal kong kababayan, Diyos marhay na aga sa inyong kabos. Good morning. After more than 100 years, Quezon's words remain true and timeless. He was in effect writing this chamber's job description and injecting it with purpose, a template by which we should do our duty today. True enough, the Senate did through war and peace, upheavals and prosperity, debacles and development, followed this code of conduct that Quezon laid down. Today, it is worth remembering the four distinct roles of the Senate that Quezon, our very first Senate President in 1916, envisioned. First, the Senate is a chamber of sobriety and prudence. We temper the passions of public opinion and proceed in a rational and deliberate manner. We do not immediately embrace populism that may ultimately harm the people. Second, the Senate focuses on quality rather than quantity. We legislate only if those existing are no longer sufficient or if no other solution suffices. This is not a factory that mass produces laws for the sake of showing them on a scoreboard, yet do not in any way improve our people's lives. Third, the Senate puts the interest of our people over those of political parties or personal ambitions. Ika nga, bayan muna, bago ang sarili. Fourth, in matters of foreign relations, the Senate helps maintain the good ties of our people with other nations, even as we put forward our national interest. However, this is not to say that nothing has changed, for indeed much has changed since the time of Quezon, and most of them has been for the good and for the better. For example, out of 252 individuals who became senators since 1916, 91% are men and only 9% are women. Women did not even have the right to vote or be voted in office at that time. Now we have 6 members of the stronger gender in this chamber. I was corrected by Senator Risa, 7. representing more than 25% of all of our members who do not only vote bills into law, but also may vote them into oblivion as well, should they so desire. Mindanao then was a distant frontier in the margins of power and given only token representation, averaging only 7% of the chamber's membership. Senator Risa, you can correct me. Today, Mindanao is well and ably represented with 20% of the chamber's membership. In this final regular session of the 19th Congress, following Quezon's advice, we will set aside items which merely dissipate our energy and divide the public. For this same reason, pending bills on charter change will be placed in the back burner and will follow the ordinary and regular process of legislation, if at all. In its stead, bills which can affect the same result but without the needless political noise and bickering will be prioritized. This will allow us to focus our energy on measures which the people truly need. We will tackle items in the common legislative agenda forged with the executive and those nurtured by both the House and the Senate. For legislation is not a one-way process. We are not mere processors of proposals, but also proponents of them. And the Senate is best, as we know, when it incubates brave ideas and initiates bold legislation. On this question of prioritization, I humbly submit a three-way test. First, will it make the lives of our people easier? Makakatulong ba ito para mapadali ang buhay ng ating mga kababayan? Will it help us move faster? Mapapabilis ba nito na makarating tayo sa ating mga mitin, pangarap at layunin sa buhay? Hindi lamang para sa ating mga sarili, pero higit pa sa ating minamahal sa buhay, komunidad at bansa. Will it make our people's burdens lighter? Mapapagaang ba nito ang pasanin ni Juan de la Cruz na sa kasalukuyan ay di may kakaila ang pasaning napakabigat na? This applies as well whether we need to legislate in the first place. For the Senate does not only propose new laws, it also disposes with needless or obsolete ones. For me, the foremost task of senators is to be the chief common sense officers of the government. For common sense, for me, is what would bring ease to the lives of our countrymen. Ang hirap lang palagi sa common sense, hindi po madalas common. Hindi po nakikita sa maraming ahensya, opisyal at empleyado ng pamahalaan. Rason, para pangunahan ito ng Senado upang bigyang balanse at tamang pananaw ang bawat suliranin at problema na hahanapan natin ng solusyon. Let this standard be used in measuring every government proposal that comes our way. Will it make the life easier for the Filipino? In fact, this very standard embodies the work that we do in the Senate. We trim lengthy provisions, reduce projected costs, test for constitutionality, and ensure that stakeholders' concerns are addressed. We do this because legislative haste often leads to time and resources wasted. Bills that are not forged in the fire of debate often comes out half-baked and eventually require remedial sequels. Sisiguraduhin po natin na pulido ang mga batas na makakarating sa labesa ng Pangulo. Pangunahin dito ang ating pagpapasya sa taunang budget. Dahil pinagpapawisan ng taong bayan ang buwis na pupondo dito at papasanin ng kanilang mga anak ang pambayad sa utang na pupuno dito, dapat lamang na ang trilyon-trilyong pisong bubunuin nila ay maghatid ng ginhawa sa kanilang buhay. To write laws is not the only duty of the Senate. It also has the duty to right wrongs and wrong policies. To this end, the Senate will continue to probe irregularities. Relief will be provided by the Senate, and justice will always be pursued by the Senate without let-up through its committees. All the things I have thus far mentioned exemplify the independence of the Senate. Ang unang bukang bibig ng lahat na tumayong Pangulo ng Senado ay ang pananatilihin ng sariling paninindigan at malayang kapasahan ng Senado. But to me, this is a pointless reiteration. It restates the obvious. and repeats the self-evident. Daily, our independence is live-streamed and blasted to all media platforms, where you see your senators, who can only be won over to a cause if you debate them and not dictate upon them. It conveys one unchanging truth, that senators are subjects only of the people and subsidiary of no other branch, party, person, or interest. This time-honored tradition is what makes our institution strong and respected. We embrace the full ventilation of views, either in contra or in conformity, whether by those in the majority or in the minority. But at the end of the day, we vote. We divide the House, but only on issues out of policy differences. Never should we allow politics to keep our House permanently divided. Ito ang Senadong kailangan ng taong bayan sa puntong ito ng ating kasaysayan. This independence, which we treasure and enjoy, is what we also desire for our nation. Make no mistake about it. This Senate is unanimous and unbending in defending our country's independence and sovereignty. Tayo'y makikipagkaibigan pero hindi tayo pasisil. Tayo'y makikipag-usap pero hindi tayo magpapaapi. As such, we shall pass laws such as Maritime Zone and Sea Lanes Act, which will strengthen our claims over what is already ours. We will strengthen our military, but not to ignite any conflict, but in order to secure the peace. We shall take peaceful measures to defend our people's right to sail in our seas and fish in our waters, as what our ancestors had done and what our children and grandchildren shall likewise do. Indeed, we must work towards bridging these troubled waters. I am confident that we shall overcome whatever disagreements we may have with any of our neighbors, given our centuries-old amicable relations with them, where this point in time in our current history, to me, is a mere speck. And in the same way, we shall be the Senate which bridges social divides and builds a path to prosperity for every Filipino. Our people are overworked, underpaid, and overburdened. A comfortable life has clearly eluded them for generations. Their dreams and struggles, more than any policy paper, should provide what our legislative agenda should contain and should inspire us to work harder towards this end. I say that it is time to reframe our work and pivot to laws that will make the life of the Filipino easier. Ulitin ko, sa bawat tanong, bawat panukalang batas, bawat debate at bawat salitang sasambitin natin sa kapulungang ito, sagutin natin ang tatlong simpleng katanungan. Mapapabilis at mapapadali ba nito ang ating gawain at gawain ng ating mga kababayan? Mapapagaang ba nito ang buhay ng bawat Pilipino? I have noticed, we have passed a raft of laws that ease the burden on big business, that provide for ease in paying taxes, that provide ease in unloading bad loans. Bakit walang ease in commuting and connecting? Bakit walang ease in finishing school and finding work? Bakit walang ease in providing health care for the sick? Bakit walang ease of acquiring justice? Bakit walang ease in providing food, not only food, but affordable food for our families? Let us do the heavy work and make hard decisions to unburden the nation and uplift every Filipino. This, to me, is our unchanging mandate. In this manner, we can and shall be the Senate that Quezon has envisioned. I apologize for taking much of your time. Allow me therefore to close and conclude by borrowing again from Quezon. Quote, a Senate that serves the people the way the people themselves want to be served. A Senate which works for the people and which is worthy of their support. We cannot fail, for our failure is their failure, and our defeat is their defeat. For me, the reverse is also true. Our triumph as a country and people will be their triumph as well. And in this regard, your Senate shall not falter. Your Senate will always prevail in the name of the Filipino people. Maraming salamat, mabuhay ang Pilipinas, at mabuhay ang sambayan ng Pilipinas.
At ating pong natunghayan ang talumpati ni Senate President Francis Chis Escudero sa pagbubukas ng third regular session ng 19th Congress. Ayon kay Escudero, unang pagkakataon na dumalo sa SONA bilang presiding officer ng mataas na kapulungan, nasisimulan ng Senado ang pagsasabatas ng ilang priority measures na tutugon sa pangangailangan ng ating mga kababayan. Dagdag pa ni Escudero, hindi dapat sukatin sa dami ng naipasang batas, kundi sa kalidad ng batas. Magiging constructive anya ang Senado at isusulong ang interes ng sambayan ng Pilipino. Patuloy din anyang sisikapin ng Senado na gumawa ng solusyon upang mapabuti pa ang kabuhayan ng ating mga kababayan. Nanindigan si Escudero na poprotektahan ang interes ng bansa at iba't ibang stakeholders at sisiguraduhing pulido ang ipapasang mga batas at patuloy na magiging mapanuri sa anumang issue. Nanawagan din siya na isantabi muna ang politika at magkaisa patungo sa kaunlaran ng bansa.
Okay.
The session is resumed. The Honorable Majority Leader is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, we have received a report from the Notification Committee that the President has been informed that Congress will convene in joint session at 4 o'clock this afternoon to hear his State of the Nation address. Mr. Speaker, we wish to remind the members of this chamber that all of us must be here an hour before the joint session at 4 o'clock.
The remarks of the Majority Leader are duly noted. Mr. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, to give way to the joint session at 4 o'clock this afternoon, I move to suspend session until tomorrow, July 23, 2024, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The session is suspended until tomorrow, July 23, 2024, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
May we call on the deputy speakers to come to the podium? Minority Leader and Majority Leader and Senior Majority Leader. Please come to the podium. Congressman Sandro.